Slides are marked.
Use that one or this?
Yes. Or they're bringing it.
Oh, you just
Right.
tell you what's also possible.
This is for the camera.
Okay.
So I guess we have 30-40 participants connecting with us all the virtual activities.
Yes.
Few of them are like sitting or Bangalore.
Can you share this screen that you see also the video and the slides panel? Usually there's an option that you also have pictures in them.
Can we see both the
Can you see the slides? It will become smaller.
No, that's no problem. No problem.
Okay.
That's okay. Do they see the slides large or just the size I see them?
they will see only the slides.
Then we maybe have it full screen. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
For them, the presentation. Okay.
Thank you. And now just scroll down, or how do I switch slides?
Yes, let's go down.
Okay. And basically the slides full screen?
Yes.
Hello everyone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So Namah Shivaya. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. So as I understand, you are all working in startups, and I gave a talk to the MBA students here in Amrita. And I brought the slides again to share with you some things that we did like 5 years ago in a merger we had in our company. And I understand that you might have different questions than the business school students. So I like to have it very interactive. So if you have got any questions or comments as we go, just please interrupt me and just post your question or add your comments so that we make it a very interactive session. Is that okay for you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So to give you a little bit of my background, and maybe you want to ask also about this. So I'm a trained biochemist. I studied biochemistry in Hamburg in Germany. I did my diploma work on HIV and my PhD work on cancer. And then I decided to leave academics and go to industry. So first of all, I took a job in startup, as you do. So my first job with a small company in Switzerland and Germany, building up a small lab on drug discovery. So our task was to work with big pharma to identify new drug structures where we could work on new leads and different delivery methods for really providing drugs to patients. So this was a completely different environment, as you personally most likely also experienced, working in a small biotech company compared to the academics. In academics, we never had funding. In biotech, we had everything but time. Yeah. So when I was working very serial in terms of how I did my experiments in academia, because money was the most constraint. In biotech, if I could do things parallel, I would do 3 experiments parallel. The thing that works best, just go ahead. So money was not an issue as long as you were the first to get the patent. Yeah, so it completely changed my mind because everything that counted was time to result. So if you were doing a PCR, you were doing like at least 3 different approaches. So in the past at academia, I just ordered 1 pair of primers, tested it. If it didn't work, order the next one, and so on. In the biotech setup, I ordered 3 to 10 primer pairs at the same time, trying all kinds of combinations. The one that worked, move ahead because time is quickly critical to get quickly results and to be the first one to patent. So in academia, I have to admit, I was not very concerned about keeping a lab notebook. The most thing was I could read my notes, and you know they are very thoroughly to write my thesis at the end of the day. In biotech, most of the time in the morning and in the afternoon was spent in writing a lab notebook, and we had a procedure that we had to sign with 2 independent people every single page of our notebooks, and every single picture of any results, any wanted, had to be signed and dated by 2 people, because this was a key thing that was considered vital for granting a patent once you get there. Yeah? So a lot of work of our scientists just went into signing laboratory notebook pages to make sure whatever you figure out is completely documented and signed and bulletproof if it comes to US court. Like you can prove which date, which time did I make this invention. Yeah?
So it was just for cross-checking that 2 people were there to see the things.
Yes,
Okay.
so it was kind of 4-eye principle in witnessing that you were witnessing my laboratory experiments and I did the same to you. So it was always necessary to have 2 people to sign the page. And if you were just gluing some kind of picture or something in, we were cross-signing that also, that no manipulation could happen afterwards. Yeah, so very much different focus I learned to do there compared to my academic world, because as I said, patent was the thing we thought was the highest value we could generate. So this was the focus of a lab. I did that for 2 years, and I switched to another biotech, which was slightly larger, 120 people. And I became head of operations. So I was formerly head of manufacturing and head of logistics. And I was also deputy head of the quality control department. And in this function, I did everything from auditing our suppliers, writing SOPs, doing the whole quality system, getting FDA approval for that, doing the inventory planning, hiring staff, deploying staff, developing methods in the QC lab, doing the audits which we had from customers. So everything that you in a larger corporation will call operations, including customs policies. How do you get a product to India? How do you get a product to Australia, to South Africa, to whatever? It was dangerous goods, so I had to become a certified dangerous goods shipper according to IATA, International Airline Transport Association. So a lot of things that I never thought about might be critical for any job when I was studying biochemistry. Yeah? So left and right, a lot of skills I needed to be able to do my job. Another 2.5 years I did that job, and then I switched to my current company, Roche Diagnostics, and became a sales rep, which was quite new for me because I had been department head with 12 people. I was just on my own selling molecular diagnostics products to customers. But it helped me very much in my personal growth to figure out what it takes to deal with people, to talk to customers and to manage these relationships long term, keep customers with new business and keep competition out. After 3 years being a sales rep, I had a short 6 months period in marketing, and since 2007 I'm the Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing in our company in Germany. So I'll try to click one. Next. Just a very brief overview. Can you still hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, you were just off screen, that's why I'm asking. So if you don't know Roche, it doesn't matter. It's a pharmaceutical and diagnostic company based in Switzerland with a turnover of roughly 50 billion a year. and 90,000 people. So this is the background of where we're working. And I don't know if you want to jump in right now, or you want to see some things we did first, or just give me your thought. Do you want me to continue with the slides, or any questions at this point in time? Okay, so I suggest we continue with the slides. So what we did is the product we were selling at that time, 2007 to 9, mostly was a light cycler, which is a qPCR method to do molecular diagnostics and basic research. At that time, we had a market share of roughly 30%. We were the market leader, and also the technology. But over time, more and more competition was getting in, and things changed. And this is what I briefly want to discuss with you, what we did in terms of rescuing our business, how pricing played a vital role, and how communication was important to really shift the market. So this product basically went into two different customer segments. One is outlined in green, which is the basic life science research market, which in Germany is 5,000 institutions with 50,000 people working there. And the diagnostic segment in hospitals, in laboratories, in governmental institutions is like 3,000 labs with like 15,000 staff. So very different customer segments. But as you can see in the middle, there's an overlap. This is labs basically working in university hospitals. They do have basic research interests as well as they have to do routine diagnostics. So these customers will buy the same product but use it for different things. And this intersection is like 300 labs with roughly 1,000. Yeah? So this is the market we are talking about. What did we sell to these customers? So this is a very brief outline. I don't know if you've got any background in biology. It doesn't matter if you don't. Just ask if you don't get the concept. Yeah? So what happens is you take a sample like cells or like a blood sample. You extract what you're looking for, some blood cells, for example. You extract the DNA. You amplify the target, what you're looking for, your research, and you detect if it's present, yes or no. The technology is called polymerase chain reaction. And as you can see from the bottom part, it's basically an exponential amplification of your signal. So it's very sensitive, and whatever is in there, you're going to find it with this kind of technology. So for example, if you're looking into genetic modifications of a mouse or a plant or something like that, this kind of technology is suitable to do research of that kind. Does it make sense? Sorry?
PCR means what?
Polymerase chain reaction. Yeah, so this is the name of this technology. Polymerase is the enzyme doing the amplification, and chain reaction means it's an exponential amplification. So you repeatedly do the same thing like 40 times, and thereby you grow the stuff. Yeah, so it's like this old example of putting a rice corn on a checkerboard and always doubling it. And the first you put 1, then you have 2, then you have 4. And at the end, you have a very large number. Yeah. So this is how it works. You're duplicating what you're looking for every single step, and you're repeating that 40 times. So the mathematics is 2 to the power of n. And if you put 40 cycles, it's 2 to the power of 40 molecules you can detect with this kind of methodology. So a very sensitive thing to really amplify small amounts of molecules you're looking for. And you do this in basic research. And what they do is they buy the instrument. The instrument comes with the software to operate the instrument, and they buy the reagents for doing that. Yeah, so you can compare that with a copy machine. You have the machine itself. There's an operating software on the machine if you want to print something or fax something or scan something. And then you have to buy paper and toner. Yeah, and this is the same model. You have a system with a software on it, and you buy the reagents to run the instrument. And if it breaks down, like with the copy machine, you call somebody, he comes and fixes it, and you pay for that. So it's basically pay as you go. You buy the instrument, you buy the reagents. The more money you have, the more reagents you can buy. And if it breaks down, you usually pay if the service engineer has to come. In contrast, if you're looking into a diagnostic lab, let's say you want to figure out if somebody is HIV positive, as you can see, you do exactly the same workflow. You have a blood sample. This time you're looking for the HIV virus. You extract the DNA, the nucleic acid of the virus, you amplify and you detect, and you get a result, positive or negative. But the biology behind is exactly the same thing. Yeah? So different purposes you can use the same thing for, basic research or human diagnostics. Dead with mouse. Can you please move the slide? Thank you. The business model in the diagnostic segment is completely different because they pay per patient result. They don't want to have fixed costs. They don't want to have to bother about buying reagents pack on a pack. They buy a service and reagent and rental contract. So what they do usually, because we are the market leader and because of the laws, we're not allowed to give longer contracts than 3 years. So we do a 3-year contract with our customers in the diagnostic segment. And this includes the rent for the machine. So the machine still belongs to us. The service, so anytime anything goes wrong, they just call and we come and fix it, no matter how often this happens. And the reagents will be provided. And they just give us a number of patients per month that they really did with that, and we charge for the number of patients. So the technology is exactly the same. The system that's built in there is exactly the same, but the business model is completely different in 2 different customer segments. Got it so far? So, next slide, please. How were we organized at that point in time? We had 2 different sales and marketing departments. As you can see in the blue, we had one sales organization and marketing organization focusing only on the diagnostic customers, and we had one sales and marketing organization only focusing on the life science customers. But if you remember, we had an intersection between the 2 segments. So we had a problem because these 300 labs, where both organizations were going and selling, they were selling against each other. The one wanted to sell a 3-year service contract, and the other wanted to sell the instrument, cash, now. So 2 sales reps were calling on the same person, the same customer, and trying to sell him different things from the same company, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So we said, okay, we're going to change that. We want to have one voice to the customer. So you can see that in the lower part, we transferred the sales and marketing people to my team and said, okay, all from one hand, because it's the same technology. People know how to sell technology science-wise, but we have to change the way we approach the customers in the market, especially in this high-value segment of the 300 laboratory customers doing both. Next slide, please. So one of the key questions was, how do we approach this customer? Because the same person, can we keep up 2 different business models? The one is reagent rental, the other one is selling the stuff, cash. And as I said, I'm a trained biochemist, so I had to learn a lot about marketing, sales, and business when I came into this position. And luckily, I knew some guys at London Business School, so I asked Marco Bettini and Nanad Tavassoli from the marketing faculty, you might know. And they are experts in pricing. I said, you know, we've got this problem. What kind of advice can you give to us? So we had like a 6-month project with them. And Marco found it quite interesting. He said, okay, this is a general problem, so I want to keep it from an academic perspective as a project and publish it later on. Yeah? So we publish it now in Harvard Business Review because he thought it might be interesting also for other businesses. Yeah? And if you've got questions to this part, how we can transfer that, I'm happy to discuss with you. So this was the key part of like, we got the synergies in the sales, calling only one person as a customer, but what kind of business models do we offer to them? Next slide, please. So a little bit about the background, which was key for our decision making. The life science customers, where did they get the money from? I think it's pretty similar in India. If you're academics, you write a grant proposal. You get a grant approved from the government, from any other organization. And a grant proposal means you get cash. And you have to spend the cash most likely in the same year for whatever you apply it for. So they need to have a model where they can spend the cash. Cash means buy the system, means also buy the reagents. And in German universities and academics, it's not allowed to do long-term service contracts. Yeah, so the administration forces the researchers to really do single service billing. So if the service engineer has to come, you pay, but you don't have a general fee, monthly fee for service. They don't like that. And what is the reason and the criteria, the KPI, the output where they measure the success is how many publications do I get per grant money, dollar or rupee or whatever. Yeah? So what they care about this segment is how many publications can I get out. Right? Next slide. The world is completely different in the diagnostic segment. Although there's the same technology, they're using the same product, they get reimbursed per patient. So the healthcare system in Germany and Europe pays them per patient result. So their reason is don't have any fixed cost. Yeah. What I can do to maximize my revenues as a laboratory is get as many patients as possible and get as much capacity usage of my instrument. Because I have to have technicians who operate the system, and fixed cost, I don't care, the less the better, but the higher the turnover, the more money I will have. And if I'm successful in doing that, I will compete against other laboratories offering the same services. So the more economy of scales I get on my machine, the more competitive I am as a lab compared to other labs, the more likelihood is that I'm going to be successful over other laboratories and stay in the market for very long. Okay, next slide. So after looking at this, the decision was very clear to keep both revenue models because they had different needs. And also this intersection, customers were able to reimburse the patients and to get grant money. So both arms of financing were accessible for them. And today they might choose to do a reagent rental. Tomorrow they'll get a grant approved, so they could choose from their different models which kind of thing they're going to use today to buy from us. Are you still on?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, next slide, please. So this was the key question, and just to give you the full picture, we had a lot of synergies in this merger. Yeah, so there were like a lot of different ways of how to get a product to the customer. Just historically, everybody found his own way of how to do that. And in the merger, we really looked deeply into all the processes and SOPs, and we figured out 14 different ways of getting a product, a package, to a customer from the same inventory shop to the same receiving customer was, the reason to optimize. So we optimized and ended up with just two. One is you need to bring stuff without bringing the instrument back, and one is just sending a taxi and shifting stuff. The other thing is we could a lot of things just standardize. Instead of having like 10 different forms for contracts, offers, and order forms, we just decided to have one. As I already told you, just one sales rep per customer instead of two. Obviously, it gives you a lot of resources, which those guys can do different things. Yeah? So you also set free resources, sales reps, time, which you can use to make additional business. We didn't have internal competition, which made us look more proficient at the customer side. And we figured out without competition, our sales were decreasing like 20% year over year. So we have to do something. And pricing might be very important. And this is the next few slides I want to share with you. You can see that as how we did come to a new pricing scheme to really safeguard the business and get back to the old numbers. Any questions so far? Okay, then let's move on. So we needed to think about how do we price ourselves to be competitive in this market. And the product itself is a product, but there's different sizes of instrument with different throughput. If you switch to the next slide, please. The key product we were talking about, so the flagship product, which was basically doing most of the sales. This box you can see here costs 49,000 euros, this price. We didn't put that in the catalog. So if you wanted to figure out at which price are we going to sell it, you had to call a sales rep. The sales rep would sell it to you and give you a price quote, and things would move on. The market perception, or customer perception, was Roche is high too expensive. They have the best quality, but they are very expensive. So if I just need something, yeah, they might be too expensive. And at the end of the day, in 2010, a lot of customers did not consider us anymore as a customer to buy, as a supplier to buy from, because they are too expensive anymore. So we were losing sales, and we had to do something. Next slide, please. So what we did again is we said, okay, let's do an analysis. I think you guys know the conjoint method. Joint analysis. Configurators. You want to buy a new car, and you select kind of what engine is in there. You are taking navigation system, which color, you are taking leather seats, whatever. So you can go to any website of Audi, VW, or Mercedes-Benz, whatever. You basically choose the model and say, this is what I want. I want the E-Class. Then you say, okay, but I don't want black, I want a red one. So you add red, and it comes with a price tag. So the red one costs you $1,500 extra. Then you want the bigger engine, no problem, you just pay $3,000 extra. So you can configure your car, and immediately you say the change in the pricing. So this is the same method that Conjoint does. It basically tells you what is the willingness to pay of a customer for a certain part of your offer. Yeah, so it works like you have 100 people, you send a questionnaire, an online questionnaire to these people, and what it does, it just gives them options. It takes like 20 minutes to do the survey, and it just asks them, you know, you have a hotline service which you can call 24/7. Or instead, you have a sales rep coming out. Which one is more important? And then you have some price tags. It's okay. If I give you $1,000, would you take the better engine, or would you take the other color? Yeah. So at the end of this method, it's an iterative comparison of two alternatives. You figure out by mathematics and algorithms how much is the willingness to pay for a customer on average for a certain item or feature of the product. So we did that, and we figured out how to really communicate the value we are adding, competitors are not, to the market. We saw also that there is a trend to a low-cost product, so we needed a low-cost product. And we thought that we have to set the prices according to this analysis in a different way. The key, what you see on the right side, is we have to communicate to the market our new pricing. How did we do that? First of all, we never did that before, but we printed the prices of our systems on the flyers. We proactively communicated our new pricing so that everybody in the market, including competitors, were aware of this is our pricing. So we didn't have to call, but we actively announced this is from now on the prices we have. By the way, they're still embedded. And this transparency changed the perception of the customers, because it was kind of fancy and unknown in the universe. But now it was very transparent to everybody how much we charge for which kind of product. So this kind of active communication changed the perception, and Roche is too expensive to, you should look at Roche, they have the best product, maybe we can afford it. And to be effective very quickly, the purchasing process works like this. The doctor, the researcher, makes the decision what he wants, hands it over to purchasing. Purchasing sends out the order to the supplier. So what we did, we within a week approached all purchasing managers in all of Germany, with a special flyer communicating these prices, and said, whatever you get on your desk, don't send it out before you spoke to us, because we have competitive offers. So with this method, within a week, we basically blocked all competitive offers. Because what the purchase managers did is they did their job. They went back to the researchers and asked them, did you consider Roche? They said, oh, why? They said, because they have something here you should consider. So we got a call from everybody who wanted to buy a system and said, we have to talk as much as we want. They won't place the order unless we talk. So we immediately got a new order from a lot of customers who didn't spend more. But after this communication, said, okay, we have to see what is really interesting. So this gave us very quick results. At this. And this is the data. Yeah. So it's not animated, so I'm not going to move you by hand. On the right side, you see this curve, or the line, the red line, which indicates the 49,000. So this is the price. And on the x-axis, you have the price. And on the y, you have the amount. So it basically tells you how much would you sell in pieces at a given price. Theory says there's a maximum. If you give it away for free, that's the maximum. Yeah. So this is the maximum you can get if you donate your product. There's the highest price also on the right side, which tells you if I'm at that price, nobody will buy it. Yeah. So we had a 49,000 set price for this product, and you can see in the blue curve there's two steep increases at roughly 45,000 and at roughly 30,000. Meaning, at a price around 45,000, there's lots more customers who are willing to buy our product. Like double the amount of customers who would say, I will buy your product in a The second thing is, in the range of 30,000, you can see there's a huge increase and customers are willing to buy that product, which we didn't have at that time. So we had a gap in offering at this low-cost sector. So what we did is we lowered our price from 49,000 to 45,000, which is obviously giving away 12,000 revenues, profit. But you double the amount of items you sell to the market. So if you're concerned about market share, keeping your market share, and want to still continue selling your reagents where you're making money on later on, like in the copy machine and the paper market, then you should really think about lowering your price, selling more items to have a long-term relationship with those customers, selling your reagents and your services. The second thing we did is we went to R&D and said, you know, we need a low-cost product below 30,000 euros. Could you please develop this one? They did. Go to the next slide.
The whole thing, like putting a price range of 49,000 and not having a product in between the lowest one and the highest one.
Yes.
So was it a lack of market research or like their validation that you are not picking the price they wanted? Like, you are making a lot of profit margin keeping for yourself or like a seller. So something like that.
Can you go back on this? I'm not quite sure if I get the question. You mean the line between 30,000 and 35,000?
Yeah, like when you had a product of 49,000,
yes,
and the buyers were not buying it.
Yes.
Okay. So was it because that you just set the price and the profit margin was too much,
well,
and then you decreased the price?
Well, basically, the willingness to pay of the customer was not there. This is what the curves indicates to you. This is the analysis of 100 people just telling us what are they willing to pay for a certain service we offer, for a certain product, feature. Yeah, and a lot of customers were not willing to pay more than 30,000 for this kind of technology. So this was a non-addressable market for us, this product. And in the range between 30,000 and 45,000, you see it's a rather flat line. So it doesn't make a difference if you set your price at 45,000 or 30,000. You don't sell more, you don't sell less. Yeah, this doesn't make a difference in the perceived value for the customer. But if you go up to 49,000, you lose significantly people by just the line drops. You know? So it's really about those 4,000 euros that make a difference between a lot of people buying and only 5% buying. Right? And below 30,000, competitors were offering products we didn't. So customers who said, I'm just willing to pay like 30,000, they went to competitor and not to us. So we needed our own product. We go on ahead. So what we did is we lowered the price and we added a new product. You can see it on this slide. So what the number one is, you have the old product at 45,000. Left to it, you have a new product priced at 25,000. This is the new product R&D gave us. And they went even one step further. If you go to the very left, there's a product for 15,000. So we bought this from another company, branded this with our brand. It's an OEM. And we have now a system for 15,000, one for 25,000, and one for 45,000. What we also did is we always had the product on the very refined machine, very high throughput machine, which nobody uses outside of pharmaceutical industry. But we had the product. And now comes marketing and pricing psychology. So what we did, we put it on the same flyer. We put a list price of 128,000. And you can read that in many industries, in many marketing cases, what happens psychology-wise is the customer looks at the portfolio suddenly generated. And he looks at it and says, you know, I was looking for a cheap product. We said, yes, we've got one. The best you can get is 15,000. Oh yes, what kind of cheap? But tell me what is the other products on this line. And you tell about the others and say, you know, 25,000, this might be the right product. And actually, that is the best product for you. But how many people are driving around in the city where you can drive 25 kilometers per hour? So you don't ever go to the limits of the system, but you want it anyhow. So they ask, what is the specifications about the other product? And you're going to tell them the specifications on the product. And easily he says, you know, on the right-hand side, this is way too much. I don't need that. But good to have it, because this brings you automatically down to the product in the middle. Because what happens is they have to apply for grant money. But if you apply for 25,000, 45,000, it doesn't make a difference. It's the same amount of work, fill out the forms of the paperwork. We just put a different number. Maybe some reasoning why this one is better. Because in the future, you might need those features that 45,000 for the customer, 25,000 doesn't have. But in case, and it's a 3-year project, so I better get a better technology just to be future-proof. So what customers did, they were buying exactly the same product as before. But just the communication of the pricing scheme, the strategy of the family, changed the perception of value. The value was exactly the same that the product offered. We didn't change the product, we didn't change the software. But we communicated left and right, there's other options. But we gave them more options to choose from. And these options were set in a way that the customer said, I don't want the cheapest. So we launched the product. We actually did never sell more than 100 of these small, which is nothing. But it doesn't matter because the sheer option of having a very cheap thing keeps you being in the loop of purchasing. Because they say, there is this cheap product from Roche, you have to talk to them. They don't want it. We don't want to sell it. We want to sell the other one. But having the low-cost option helps to sell the high-quality premium product, because that's what the customer wants. And by the way, it's a kind of status symbol also. If other colleagues, collaborators come to the lab, and they see the premium product, that gives you some kind of status to your collaborators. They will never commit to that, but psychology-wise, this is important. Yeah, so go to the next slide, please.
At the same time, like, what are the other products available in the market for the customer? Can we look at the pricing range of that also?
Yes. The question is, do you drive that as a market leader, or do you follow the others? I always drive things, because I'm the market leader, and if I'm not the market leader, I want to become the market leader. So I got to set the standard. And sometimes it's a little bit bold to say, okay, I'm going to increase my prices, even the economy is going down. But if the market leader is increasing the prices, guess what the competitors are doing? They're going to follow. Yeah. So for us, if we have a 2% price increase on the list prices of everything in the catalog, all the competitors will follow. All wait 4 weeks. They are usually communicating 4 weeks after us You see what you're communicating to the market, and then they follow with exactly the same. Yeah. So the question is how bold are you? What is your self-confidence of acting in the marketplace? But you should be very careful, as you've been seeing from the curve. If you outprice yourself in the market, which we did with the 49,000, and the willingness to pay is not any longer there, you're going to be gone in 3 years. Yeah. So it's the braveness, the boldness to be better than your competitors and to charge for that, but also to know your consumers. What are the customers willing to pay for a car, for such a research product, or whatever kind of product you're thinking about? And if they're just willing to pay like 10% of what you think, you have a problem. You should find a way of communicating your message to the market in a way that they perceive the value. Why is everybody paying like 50% premium on Apple products? Sometimes others are better, but sometimes not. But it's the brand that you're selling there. Yeah? So I could argue for like an hour why it's even better technology, but a lot of the thing is brand, and brand is perception, brand is psychology. Yeah? So never forget, I know you're all engineers, scientists, whatever. We are all into science and technology. But people buy for psychology reasons, not for technology. Technology is great and cool and we need to talk. When it comes to pricing and profit and how you position your brand, it's all about perception. What kind of perceived value do you get? Yeah, and that's a very important thing for us. It's pretty clear because we've been around like 150 years. So reliability, quality, this is one of the key things customers attach to the Roche brand. If you are building a new brand, what is the brand values that customers should associate with you? Yeah, I mean, we can do it very quickly. What is the perceived value of Volvo, for example? You know the Volvo car? What's the brand that they communicate?
Basically on the safety part.
Exactly, it's safety. So a lot of young families will buy Volvo because they communicate we are safety. Compared to that Audi, what is Audi's message that they communicate?
The luxury.
Sorry?
Luxury plus.
Yeah, it's more technology. Yeah, so the kind of advertisement they do is always, yes, luxury, but also technology. We've got the latest technology. If you take BMW, what kind of message do they convey? It's more the motorsports.
On the design part.
Fast design, yeah, we are the cool ones. Yeah, so it's pretty clear to everybody you ask in the world, what is their brand message that they're conveying? Do you have a brand message for whatever you want to sell? And if not, it should be very clear. What do you want to be in the market? How do you want the customers to perceive you? And then the question is, how does the pricing do that? You know, if you say we are always the cheapest, and you can build the biggest company in the world with that. What is that? That's Walmart. Walmart always offers the cheapest prices. Whatever. This is the promise to the customer. Come to our shop, get the cheapest prices. Okay. Walmart is the biggest company in the world, this promise. If the general manager of Walmart drives a luxury car, awesome, completely destroys the brand value. Yeah? Because the brand is the cheapest prices, so we cannot spend money on a company car that's a luxury car. No way. This will completely be not aligned with the brand. So if you want to have quality, and we do as a brand, what do you need to do to convey this message? And that's what we call marketing touchpoints. Yeah, so everything that a customer sees and perceives and gets in touch with the product, the company, the sales rep, the general manager, whoever, it needs to be in line. So our general manager driving a bike would be strange. At least it has to be a very quality bike to drive. So how do you perceive a company, a product that's a total offering and total communication? So Apple does this perfectly. Does any one of you own an Apple product? If you buy it, look at the packaging. the packaging is key of what kind of perception do I have. I unwrap it. It's like a ceremony, yeah? Unwrapping an Apple product is like putting it in a temple and molding it, and yeah, that's what Apple does. If you go to an Apple store, it's not just another store, it's a temple. You come to the Apple temple. If you see how the lights are, how the products are presented, you come to the temple. That's their message that they give. So the packaging, the way you get the product, everything is important. So brand value is key, brand messaging related to your pricing. If you bring those together, customers will be willing to pay a premium or look very strangely and say, we are the cost leader. People are going to see this difference. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so far on the pricing. So just some general comments in terms of leadership. Of course, the integration of two different sales and marketing teams was also a people issue. So kind of a change management project. And these people have been set up with completely different skills, because selling a box cash to academia is a completely different thing than having a very long relationship with diagnostic medical doctors. You needed team players in the diagnostic field and very strong individuals in the other field. Bringing them together, even after 6 years, was still struggles. Because we've been very successful for 25 years, being the lone rider out there in the field selling your stuff and shooting all competitors from your mindset. And now I ask you to be the team player. It doesn't work. Yeah? So that's a challenge of how you get the people from A to B. Second thing is, in the marketing, we have completely different skills. Because marketing to 50,000 people in science and life science requires online marketing, email marketing, a lot of different things compared to going to 300 customers with direct sales. Sales methodology and philosophy was different. People were different in terms of how long did they have an existing relationship to customers. Imagine you have one customer and two sales reps calling the same. You have to make a decision. One has to go, one has to stay. Which is the better choice from the two people? Who should continue taking care of the customer? Who do you take something else? What is the criteria? You have to come up with a solution that also the customer will accept. I talked about the processes quickly. And my key takeaway also for you guys in the start is, whatever you think you can do, think critically about timing. Because we thought that like 12 months should be okay to bring these together because it's working today and it will be working tomorrow. We completely underestimated the amount of work in terms of aligning the processes, understanding how we really want to have a business model, doing all this research for the pricing, how to set the pricing, print the new flyers, and getting people from A to B. Yeah? So 1 year was by far not enough to finish the project. It took 2.5, 3 years to really get this all done. You can imagine top management was not very happy that it took 3 times longer than communicated. Yeah? So rather be on the safe side and give yourself a little bit more time because things will come differently than you planned initially. Yeah? So also if you make a business plan or whatever time to market considerations, things are pretty complicated if it comes to scaling up of production, if it comes to regulatory requirements, getting all the legal paperwork done. Yeah? If you don't have experience, if you don't have really good advisors who did that 20 times, you will need time to learn. You will need time to do it again and try different ways. Your first idea might not work. You need to reiteratively work on things before you really find a way how it works. So having the right perception of when do I really get my first revenues, when do I get results of whatever kind of project I'm doing, might be completely different timing than you initially think. The last slide, I think. So overall, was it the right thing to do? Yes, it was, but it took much more time than yesterday. And with this, thank you for listening, and of course, I'm open for any discussion or questions.
Have any questions, Prashant?
Adi, Bharat.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. I was just to ask, when you talked about Apple and they have a brand value, like they have a particular message uh, that they are transforming into their customers' mind. So, how do you go about achieving that for a new company which is coming out of nowhere right now?
Can you maybe repeat the question? I didn't get it.
Can you repeat the question once again, Park?
Uh, I can write if you on the Q&A section of in the Google Hangouts.
Yes.
Yeah. Chat section. We talked about Apple and other lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just making the
Yeah.
full screen now.
That's okay. Uh-huh. So what's the question?
It's doing with advertising.
How to influence? I think it is just like you said about the example of
Yes.
Apple and from the point of Apple company, so they have the kind of planning with it.
Yes.
But for a startup, how will they attack?
You have to do it, otherwise you will be in severe trouble. Yeah. So you need people who have expertise in marketing and communication. Either you create it yourself, or you get somebody in your team who can do that. Yeah. And we talked some general topics about startups yesterday or the day before with some colleagues here in Amrita and Kerala, and I see a lot of startups in Germany coming and fail after 2 years. And my perception is a lot of startups that fail is because a scientist has a brilliant idea. He files for a patent and he founds a startup company with 2 or 3 partners. Those that usually are successful are those guys who bring in experts. As a CEO, as a CFO, as marketing, whatever. Those guys who usually fail are those who think, I want the title, I become CEO of the company, without ever having the knowledge of becoming the CEO. Because it takes more than printing cards to become a CEO of a startup company. Yeah? So know your strengths, know your limitations, and know what is needed to be successful in getting financing, getting your business plan approved, getting venture funds. And it's all about timing. Yeah? So when is a good time to start marketing and branding and stuff? You should have a clear idea, from my perception, once you start writing your business plan. Who do I want to be? Do I want to be the Volvo, the safety guys? Then I will have to show to my investors how I will build in safety into my product. If I want to be the Audi guys, technology, I should have latest technology in there. If I just copy something that's already there, I wouldn't buy into that idea and finance it. So this kind of message, who do we want to be, should be very clear from the very beginning. So bringing in marketing people, you probably cannot afford at an early start period when you still need to develop a product. But bringing in somebody with business expertise, marketing expertise, when you write a business plan can be very crucial, because it can be very important to, once you got the technology right, what is the value you want to convey to the customer? Is it built into your product or not? It's also an option, obviously, to just build the stuff and come on later. But the likelihood of getting funding, getting trust from VCs, and knowing why are you doing what you're doing, where do you want to go with the technology, the product that you're building. If you have that in mind from the very beginning, that's what some people call vision. Yeah. So what's the vision? And this clearly must include, in all cases, the customer. Because whatever you do doesn't matter. Positioning happens in the mind of the customer. So if the customer has a perception that's completely different from what you had in mind, you will fail. Sorry for being blunt, but most likely, the more you bring things together at the very beginning, the more likely you're going to succeed. In the steps in between of getting funding, getting good people to join your company when you need them, because to be successful, you need really talent in your startup to get things moving. And then at the time where you've got a product, what are you going to do with that? You've got to build your own factory, you've got to sell the stuff, just going to sell the proof of concept of your IP to a bigger company. So what's your plan? What do you want to do? Whatever you do, you have to communicate. To your employees, to your colleagues, to your finances, to wherever you're going to sell the stuff, and eventually to the customer. The more consistent this story is from the very beginning to the very end, the more likelihood you are to be set up for success. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So, is there any particular mistake that companies do while conveying this type of a message? Like any particular mistake you have found that breaks the company's message and their delivery to the customer?
Is there any particular way or models to convey this message of association?
You mean how you communicate? Everything. It is like the logo you start with for your company, the name of the company. Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the beginning you won't have any flyers or any stuff. You basically will have an office, a laboratory, whatever your product is going to be, craft shop, whatever. You're going to have some business cards probably. You're going to have some phones. You're going to have some PowerPoint presentations to show people what you're doing and why they should give the money for that. Yeah, and all of this matters. Where is your office? Is it in the downtown, very expensive, high flat rate environment? Is it industrial area? What kind of sign do I have on the front door? What kind of furniture do I have in my offices? Do I have a wall? Do I have champagne? You know, so there's a lot of things I can convey in a subtle way. Obviously, what you print on your folders, on your papers, on your PowerPoint, this will be a very direct message. But never forget about its indirect sales. As I said, if you are Walmart and you come with an E-Class or you hire a Mercedes, this doesn't fit together. No way. Yeah. And this is not, you know, this is a psychology thing. This is a subtle message that we're sending. If you're driving a luxury car, having a Rolex watch on your wrist, you can wear that at home, but better not if you're going to suppliers. Yeah, because that makes a very strange impression. If you come to a supplier and say you need to decrease your prices by 30% and you've got a Rolex watch for 25,000, it doesn't work. So everything you do, how do you dress? Yeah, do you dress in a shirt? Do you dress in a T-shirt? Do you shave? Do you not shave? Yeah, do you come in a suit? How do you be there as a person? It's very vital for what do you convey at the early stages. You're not talking to customers yet. You might be talking to some key opinion leaders or critical early adopters or whatever. I don't know where you start this, but the way you communicate, it's everything basically. We call them touch points. Yeah? So whenever a customer potential stakeholder, sorry, like anybody from any authority, any governmental body, any potential customer gets into touch with you, anybody from a venture capital fund, you're making an impression with everything you do. I'm sitting here in a white shirt, bottom next to you, intentionally. I choose intentionally from the smoking, the black suit, the casual wear, to what I'm wearing the week I'm here today. Yeah, I carefully selected the shoes, I carefully selected the watch. Yeah, so you communicate with everything you do, what kind of thing you want. And this leaves an impression. And if you ask people afterwards, why did you give us the money or not give us the money? I'm sure in many cases they will not give you the real reason. Yeah? You get something like, we had projects enough, we're running out of funds or whatever, but the real reason is, do I trust these guys sitting on the other side of the table? Because it's my money. If I give you my money, do I think it's the right thing to do? Do you give me the trust? And this is, as I said, if you have a convincing story, you communicate the story convincingly, and you have the perfect example here on campus, which is Amma. Amma has a clear message, and everything she does, every organization, is communicating the message. Yeah, so Amma won't have champagne for her birthday. I've never joined, but this would be very strange. Amma won't fly in a private helicopter someplace. She takes the bus or the car because she says, if those rupees are safe, I can feed people. This is one thing, So everything you do, your organization is a perfect example of how you communicate a brand. And Amma as a person, Amma is also a brand, the organization, Rita. Yeah, you are having some core values. These values are communicated. It's fascinating for a Westerner to come here and see how consistently this message is being conveyed from very high-ranking Swami to somebody who just entered the ashram a week ago. Yeah? So this kind of core values, this kind of core message, which is behind the brand, is communicated in every way. Yeah? I was really stuck. It was raining yesterday. I was walking from the campus to the ashram main hall. Somebody was in front of me, and there was a piece of paper lying on the floor. Picked it up, brought it to the next ashram. This is communication of your values. Just picking up a piece of paper that's on your floor. So how clean is the floor? How clean is everything? This is communication of your brand, of your core values of the company. So everything you do is communication in personal touch, and later on, if you do TV advertisements or whatever kind of broad media you do, what is the messages? Why are you sending this? How? And it's all about emotions. Make sense?
Yes.
You have any other questions?
No.
Anyone have any questions?
I've got a question for you, because I'm curious. What is your biggest challenge right now in this moment?
What?
What is your biggest challenge in this moment?
Finding the product market fit is the biggest challenge, I think. Like, first we have to study the market and see where our product fits and to what kind of customers our product fits. So that's kind of a challenge that we are going through right now.
Can you just repeat?
It was not clear. Parth, can you repeat it, please?
Just falling on the floor.
Resorting to Hangouts group chat.
He's looking for a product market fit. He's still in early stage. He's building, saying that how the customers are accepting, where the product fitting basically. That's why he's looking for branding and everything. Yeah.
Nishan?
No, I was asking, like, you told me what's the biggest challenge. So, told right now it's finding the where the product fits into the market, what kind of customer it fits, what kind of customer it serves those customers
Yes.
like that.
Okay, I did hear you now. Thank you. So, what is your approach of getting there?
Hello?
What is your approach in getting there?
Uh, Basically, we are first thinking like do some sort of social marketing and see how people are gonna react. And we have given it to the our friends and families and members and other some students which works here. So we are validating from them whether they're finding the product useful or not, like that. So that's the approach. Like go to 100 people and tell them, and then see how they're reacting to that.
Okay. Are you clear about what kind of problem you're trying to solve with your product?
Yeah.
So, do you have support from somebody out of marketing?
I didn't get that.
Do you have somebody from marketing in your team? Somebody with marketing experience?
No, from marketing experience, right now there's no one. Uh, the whole team is comprising of tech people, mostly.
Yeah.
What we are doing is like we are exploring the marketing world where we can learn something and we can apply it in our own startup.
So the basic concept, the simplest I ever heard about is STP, segmentation, targeting, positioning. Yeah,
Okay.
so exactly what you're doing at the moment, finding the right customer segment you want to start with, then figure out how to target that segment, what is your key value you're offering to that segment, and then do the positioning like we talked about here. What is the value, what is the price, is it about safety, is it about being cool and sexy, is it about whatever your product does. Yeah? So how do you build this up? And I would suggest getting somebody who is really experienced in doing that and helping you through the process, because I guess with 2 days workshop, you can really get all the things done and structured. Then you do the field work. You have to ask a few hundred people, depending on what kind of product it is. Come back with the results, take again the same advisor, and wrap the things together. Yeah? So you can do it probably within 4 weeks if you're really lucky with that. If you've got the proper advisor for that, knows how to structure it, and who did it for some time. You can do it yourself, just reading a book and trying out. But my experience is in a startup, you don't have time. Because every single time costs you money. Every single day that you're not to the market, somebody else might be first and not you. So you're giving away the first mover effect or some patents or whatever. So at this stage in time, money might be the second thing to worry about, concerned about time. At least for the Western culture. I don't know exactly the Indian market, but if I were in your shoes, I would figure out who is the expert who can help us, who knows our potential target market. That person might be expensive, but you need that person only for a few days. Invest into that, get your homework done, go out, reach out to customers, ask the questions you figure out in the workshop, come back with the results, and wrap it all together.
Yeah.
That is one idea of how you could do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thanks.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, pretty much that. We'll conclude with that. If anyone has some question, like, yeah, I think we conclude with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. It was really helpful for us because most of our startups are like more from the technological background. They don't have much of the marketing and may not be even thinking that the minute factors in the customer psychology is important. So this, I hope like this will give some insights of how to focus more on the that marketing side of that one, and so to do more customer validation and focus more on conveying the values which they are trying to provide to the customers.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It was very useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time, and good luck, and I wish you a lot of success with your company.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.